All right, so on Wednesday night, we begin on TNT, the Western Conference Finals. What a showdown. There is plenty of star power with Steph going up against Luka, who has been the second leading scorer so far this postseason. In the regular season, if you want to take much from that, the Mavs won 3 of 4 from the Warriors, but neither team really at full strength all season long. Draymond Green only played 1 game against Dallas so far this season to that point. Both teams feeling pretty darn good about themselves. Coming in, Steve Kerr about the confidence level.
They just won a Game 7 on the road against the best team in the league, so I'm sure they're feeling confident. We're feeling confident. Our guys have guts. You know, they're not afraid of anything, and that's where our experience helps us.
What's the key in defending a team with Luka?
I would say playing your hardest and trusting your teammates are the 2 keys.
I never expect to be here, so I'm living my best life. You know, this is the dream. I was worried, you know, after the Game 7. Before Game 7, I was saying this might be my last game of the NBA season, you know, but I wasn't ready. You know, I wanted to play basketball. So tomorrow, another basketball game that I will enjoy. I get to play at least 4. You never know. So I'm just happy to be playing basketball, man. It's a pleasure for me.
Luka's a little different. The world is been his stage, and he enjoys it. And as you guys will put it, the bigger it gets, the better he plays. So hopefully that's what happens for us. But again, we don't talk about the big stage. It's just we're on the road trying to figure out a way to win.
That guy right there, Jason Kidd, is wowing people with the way he has not only adjusted from game to game, but in game. Let's start, though, with Luka, who has really been a sensation, obviously through the first few years of his career, but now getting to the conference finals for the first time. Warriors, known for their defense, known for their versatility. How do they stop, or at least slow down, Luka Doncic?
I don't know if they can, Jared. This young man is playing like he's unguardable. What can you take away from him? He can score at all 3 levels. He can shoot the 3. He can take you up there. But watch this right here, Luka offensively. Look, Golden State has a foot in the paint. They got guys, and Klay Thompson starts to attack. Look at this. Because you don't have a rim protection, he shoots the layup off the wrong foot to trick you so you can't even try to block the shot. Klay Thompson is a all-defensive type player before he got hurt. Look at what Luka's doing. And this is not even fair right here. What he's doing to Kevon Looney right here. It's not even fair. And when he gets into the paint, he draws the contact to still get the and one opportunity. Here he is again, one-on-one against a young guy, Kuminga. He already sees where he wants to go. And this is the fact. Because Dallas have others who can make threes, you're afraid to come help because the thing that Luka does just as well as score is pass the ball. And one thing you can't do, when he gives the ball up in the half-court situation, you can't let him get it back because he just backs Steph Curry down. And then he just shoots over him. And as he falls back, he creates even more space. Here's Luka again right here. Andrew Wiggins, 6'8", tough defender. Nope. You got 3 Golden State Warriors on the ball, and watch Luka Doncic, right? He's not the quickest guy in the building, but he's the most craftiest guy. He finds the nooks and crannies. But the thing that he does so good is when he gets smaller players on his hip, they can't get back in front of him. They can't reposition. And then when he gets you there, he keeps you there. And he has so many different ways of scoring. He can shoot the fadeaway. He can shoot the drop step. And Greg said it off air. His footwork is impeccable. So I don't know if one guy, you can make him shoot a bad percentage, Greg, but you're not going to stop him from getting to his spots and getting his shots.
Well, there have been some comps. The Warriors have been saying, Anthony Slater of The Athletic wrote a great column about how the Warriors are looking at Luka, about how they defended Harden in his heyday at times. That's what the Warriors are looking at.
James Harden this big. Luka that big.
Much big, and that's the point I was getting at. With no Andre Iguodala, at least for Game 1, probably not for Game 2, maybe not at all for the series, Warriors are going to have some issues figuring out which bodies to throw at Luka. Let's look at the other side of the matchup here. Okay, so the Mavs have been sensational on the defensive end, and they've been using team defense. So now you've got this new death lineup, which the Warriors have minimized in the second round, how much they used Steph, Klay, and Jordan Poole. How does Dallas defend that?
Oh, it'll be a challenge for him, no doubt about it. Those 3 guys, if they're playing well, the one thing that's been unique this postseason is they really haven't had a scenario where all 3 have played at a high level. So That's a positive, though, if you're Golden State, because you got to assume at some point that it clicks for them. It looks like Clay is getting a little bit more of a rhythm. And so if you're Dallas, to me, it's all about the three-point line. You've got to make Golden State take a lot of twos. You got to be able to get them off the three-point line. I think that's going to be critical for them, even if they're scoring. I think if you can limit the amount of threes they take, because they're not a team that's going to get a lot of paint points, right? They don't have anybody that can consistently score in the paint, really, except maybe Steph, when he's able to get guys out on the island. So I think that's going to be big. And then the other aspect of it, the 4 games they played, they won the turnover battle 3 times. And that's going to be critical. We've seen with Golden State this season, their struggles. And I still think they're going to struggle because the way they play, they try to hit a lot of home runs with their passes. So they're going for scoring plays a lot. And when those don't happen, if they're live ball turnovers, that's when they're going to have some issues. So for me, it's about, can we limit their three-point attempts, and can we force them to try to thread the needle on a lot of passes, get those turnovers, and then let that really fuel our offense.
Yeah, Dallas, best three-point shooting team in terms of makes per game in the postseason. Turnovers have been massive. The offensive glass will be huge in this series. Now, Udoka, the head coach of the Celtics, who most certainly will address this incredible story as COVID still very much present in our world today. The Celtics will also not have Marcus Smart, foot injury, and no Kyle Lowry for the Miami Heat. So welcome to the conference finals. Greg Anthony, Sam Mitchell, I'm Jared Greenberg. Again, we're going to hear from Coach Udoka, but this is a massive blow.
Well, I was surprised you didn't. Initially, when you said that, I was assuming you were talking about the Defensive Player of the Year not playing. But you went Al Horford, which is a big loss.
Well, that's because it's new. He wasn't on the injury report as of this afternoon.
Yeah, but the bigger loss to me is Marcus Smart. And don't get me wrong, I love Al Horford, and they're going to need him, obviously, at some point. But when you think about the culture and the heart and soul of the Boston Celtics, that's Marcus Smart. And not having him out there, even though it may only be a game, is a tremendous loss because of the matchup in this series. You don't have the same level of physicality in terms of defending the paint with Miami that you do with Milwaukee and Giannis. So losing both those guys is going to be a tremendous hill to have to climb for Boston, also coming off the emotional roller coaster, if you will, of that 7-game series.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, man. Al Horford, the way he played in that series against Giannis, his defense, his rebounding, his ability to knock down the open three, and his versatility, man, they're going to miss that. And to GA point, how do you play a game without your emotional leader, Marcus Smart? Your tough guy, the guy that sets the table for your toughness. But when I would look at this Boston Celtics team, they don't lack toughness nowhere. Throughout that lineup, and Wayne Emery used to say this all the time, your team is going to take on either the personality of the coach, and Ime Udoka is tough, or your best players. And when you look at Tatum, Brown, and Smart, man, they got a lot of toughness to spare.
They will have Robert Williams, which will be a huge addition. Obviously, he was available for Game 7 the other day. Keep in mind, with the conference finals going every other day, that might be more difficult to get Al Horford back in the lineup for Game 2. You got to have 2 negative tests within the span of 24 hours apart, or your CT level has to be at a certain number for the NBA doctors to clear you for you to go back in.
Is that like the ACT we used to take in school?
More like the SAT for you, yeah.
I took them both.
Or somebody took it for you? Is
no. I went to the Ivy League.
Greg went to Vegas, man.
Come on, man.
I know he took.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
I got a doctorate.
He went to Vegas. You know he took his own test.
All right, let's go live to Miami, where Ime Udoka is going to address the breaking news.
Find out about Al, and based on NBA protocols, was today the first day the team was aware of this situation?
Found out about Al about 2 hours ago, and yes, today was first day.
Ime, did Al test positive?
As always, we don't comment on our status of our guys. He's feeling fine, and we'll go from there. Wait to see results and tests and future tests, and like always, I don't comment on our status of our guys.
With Marcus and Al out, who are you starting in their place?
Derek and Grant.
Does this mean you miss Al for the first 2 games of this series?
Oh, it's unsure. That's more of a medical question, honestly, but there are different protocols and tests that have to be passed, and we'll know more going forward. But it's not a definite that he's out for 2 games.
You made just a thought on not having those two players, but also you guys trying to step up again tonight in this situation.
We've unfortunately had quite a bit of practice with this early in the season due to injury and COVID situations. And so just like Game 2 when we won without Marcus and Derek stepped up, and then the last 3 games without Robert, other guys have to step up, and we'll do the same with these guys out.
Ime, what's the process for Al to get back? Is it similar to early in the season? And what have you kind of seen Robert be able to do over the last week or so here to ramp up for a return tonight?
Regarding Al, it is testing that has to be, a certain number have to be passed. Don't know if it's specific days, but a specific number of tests have to be passed. And with Rob, he has looked better throughout the last week. Obviously, he was available for Game 7 on a needed basis, and we were comfortable with who we had, so we didn't go there. But Rob has looked better every day and was able to play in Game 7, so he'll be back with no minute restriction tonight.
Ime, is there any situation, given that you had the shoot-around and that Al was there, and with huddles, and was there any situation with close contact with the rest of your players? Are they in any kind of watch situation?
I'm honestly unsure about that as of now.
Ime, you've known Eric Spoelstra for a long time. Just from your vantage point, what qualities does he possess that make him such a successful head coach?
Well, his story, first of all, his grind, that him working his way up through the video room, through the ranks, and obviously learning from one of the best and one of the best organizations. That stands out. A guy, like I said, I grew up watching as a player, and so I've known him for a long time and got to know him on a more personal level recently with doing the USA basketball stuff and my first 2 years going against him in the finals. And so just his grind, but also his adaptability, I think, with the teams he's had, different rosters, always has that success, and it's part of the Heat culture here, no doubt about that. But he's put his own stamp on it, not only from what Pat has done here, he's taken the reins of that, and so that's the one thing that really stands out with him. A guy that has learned on the fly, but also keeps you off balance, keeps you guessing, and has kind of adapted throughout the years to where he's at now.
All right, how about this for a first-year head coach? Welcome to the conference finals, and you don't have two of the more important, not the best players, but two of the more important players to what you do on both sides of the basketball. No Al Horford, no Marcus Smart. So if you missed Ime Udoka at the top, he said Derek White, who struggled mightily in Game 7 the other night, will start. Grant Williams, who had the game of his life with 7 threes in Game 7, he will get the start. Many thought maybe Daniel Tice would be the nod, the guy who would get the nod. It's not. It's Robert Williams. He's dealing with injuries of his own. He will start. So, wow. So let's talk about what got these teams, Miami and Boston, to this stage. It's their defense. And Boston's defense now is going to look a whole lot different without Smart and Horford.
Yeah, the head of the snake and the anchor, really, when you think about Horford and then also Marcus Smart.